I still remember the smell of lilies that morning, thick, suffocating, almost mocking. They filled the church like her presence used to fill a room, except she wasn't there anymore. My mother had died 2 days before, and somehow my sister managed to turn the funeral into a stage. She wore white, as if she were the grieving angel, while I stood in the back row, wearing the black dress I bought with borrowed money. Everyone surrounded her, hugged her, whispered how strong she was, how radiant, how she always carried the family's name with grace. Not a soul turned toward me. She was always the star, the favorite, the chosen one. I was the quiet one, the emotional one, the background noise in every family photo. While she went to private school, I fought for scholarships. While she traveled Europe, I worked double shifts. But grief doesn't care about spotlights. It strips you down, and standing at the edge of the casket, I whispered something no one else heard. This isn't over. They called for the eulogy. Of course, she took the mic first. Her voice didn't crack once. Her mascara didn't run. She spoke like a politician, rehearsed, perfect. People cried. I just stared, because deep inside, I knew something she didn't. Mom had asked for a private reading of her will. And the lawyer? He'd requested I be there alone. But that part was coming later. For now, I swallowed my bitterness like poison and clapped with everyone else when she stepped down from the altar. I didn't want revenge. I wanted truth. And maybe, just maybe, justice. The day after the funeral, I received a call that felt like thunder through my chest. Miss Carter, this is Edmund Hale, your family's estate lawyer. Your mother left specific instructions that I meet with you privately. Can you come in tomorrow at 10 a.m.? My hands were trembling. I hadn't heard that name in years. The same lawyer who had handled Dad's estate before everything fell apart. I didn't ask questions. I just said yes. The office was cold, not in temperature, but in atmosphere. Silent, heavy. I sat across from Mr. Hale, who looked at me over his glasses like I was a puzzle piece he wasn't sure how to place. Then, without drama, he slid a sealed envelope across the desk. Your mother asked that you read this before we proceed. My fingers hesitated. The paper was cream-colored, her handwriting unmistakable. My heart almost stopped as I unfolded it. If you're reading this, it means the performance is over. You were never invisible to me. I just needed to protect you in a way your sister wouldn't understand. But now, it's time for you to know everything. What I left behind, I left for you, because you earned it, because you saw me, because you never had to steal the spotlight to shine. I stared at the words, blinking through hot tears. Was this real? Had Mom really seen me all along, behind the curtain of favoritism, through the years of silence, beyond the shadows of my sister's praise? I looked up at the lawyer, speechless. He nodded. Shall we begin? That was the moment something shifted in me. The moment grief turned into purpose, because this wasn't just about inheritance. It was about truth, and I had waited my whole life for this stage. Mr. Hale opened a leather folder, the kind that smells like money and old secrets. Your mother's estate includes several assets: the beach house in Montauk, her personal savings, 2 safety deposit boxes, and the family trust. But there's a clause, one your sister doesn't know about. My pulse quickened. He continued, calm and deliberate. Effective immediately, you are the sole beneficiary of the Montauk property and its contents. That includes the journals. Your sister was never aware of their existence. Journals. My mother had always scribbled notes, little lines of poetry, observations, frustrations. I assumed they were tossed in drawers or lost over time, but apparently they were all there, preserved. She documented everything, Mr. Hale added, including the years she was sick, and the decisions she made regarding you and your sister. My stomach sank and rose all at once. It was like being handed a box of explosives and a match. If this story is touching your heart, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It helps more people find stories like this. I walked out of that office into the sunlight, clutching the folder like a lifeline. My sister was probably still soaking in compliments from the funeral, posting her eulogy outfit on Instagram. She had no idea that Mom's final move had already begun, and it didn't involve her at all. I took a cab straight to the beach house. I hadn't been there in years. Not since the summer Mom cried over breakfast and said, "One day you'll understand." As I walked through the front door, everything hit me at once. The scent of sea salt and rose perfume, the framed photo of me as a child, not my sister, the soft hum of silence that felt like welcome. I was standing in the only place where I wasn't overshadowed, and waiting for me on the desk by the window was a leather-bound journal with my name on it. The journal was heavier than it looked. I sat by the window, the sea breeze brushing against my skin, and opened the first page. Mom's handwriting was slanted but strong, like she'd fought through shaking hands to write every word. July 3rd, she yelled at me again, told me I was selfish for asking for help, said I should just die with dignity. But Olivia, my sweet Olivia, she held my hand and told me she loved me. No one saw it, but that's what saved me. I gasped. My throat tightened. That was the night of Mom's first collapse, when the paramedics came, and I stayed with her while my sister stormed off. I remembered it vividly, but no one ever spoke about what happened. Now, I was reading proof, validation, truth in ink, page after page. She documented the contrast, my sister's charm to the public, her cruelty behind closed doors, my quiet loyalty, my patience, my presence. She hadn't just seen me, she had recorded me. Each entry felt like justice whispering. Everyone always praised her beauty, but Olivia's kindness saved me in ways beauty never could. I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I wasn't crazy. For years I thought I was imagining things. Now I had evidence. I had power. Not the kind that screams, the kind that waits, and I knew exactly what I had to do. 2 days later, my sister called. No condolences, no warmth. Just her polished voice slicing through the line. "Hey, the lawyer said you got something. I'm assuming Mom left you, like some books or jewelry or whatever. Can we go over the estate together?" She was fishing, smiling through her teeth, still convinced she was in control. I could have told her then, could have shattered her illusion in one sentence, but I didn't, because silence is power, and I'd learned how to use it. I simply said, "We'll talk when the time's right." That's when her voice cracked. Just a twitch of panic. "Okay, well, just remember who handled everything this past year. I deserve some respect, at least." Respect. That word. From someone who hadn't visited Mom during her final chemo cycle, who posted selfies in Paris while I was rubbing lotion on burned skin and cleaning the vomit from hospice sheets. She didn't want respect. She wanted credit for a performance. Later that night, I posted a photo, not of me, not of her, but of the beach house window, with the ocean glinting through it and the caption, "Some truths need salt and silence to rise." Within hours, my sister texted, "Are you trying to be cryptic? What's going on?" And I smiled, because for the first time in my life, she didn't know. The next day, I received an invitation, not a warm one, but formal and smug. My sister was hosting a post-funeral celebration of life dinner at a rooftop lounge downtown. I wasn't supposed to come, of course. Not really. She added my name last, probably as a courtesy she could later weaponize. But I accepted, and I wore the same black dress from the funeral, not out of thrift, but out of message. I didn't need glitter to be seen anymore. The moment I walked in, her face stiffened. She was dressed like grief on display. Gold earrings, designer heels, her mourning but glowing look perfected. People circled her like bees to sugar. I stayed back, sipping water, listening, until I heard it, someone mentioning the will. I heard there was a private meeting, something about the beach house. Her eyes darted toward me like knives. That's when the music stopped for her. For a second, the spotlight flickered. She grabbed a glass and laughed too loud. Oh, I'm sure Mom left us both something meaningful, probably something small, sentimental. We were a team, after all. Her voice betrayed her. That same tightness, the same wobble I heard on the phone. I looked at her, calm and measured, and simply said, "Some inheritances take time to understand." And I left. In the elevator, my phone buzzed. A message from Mr. Hale. "It's time. The full reading will take place Friday. Both of you must attend." Friday arrived like a storm cloud. I wore no makeup, tied my hair back, and carried nothing but a notebook. My sister, on the other hand, came in full costume, blowout hair, soft pastels, and a pearl necklace I hadn't seen since Mom's hospital bed. She gave the room a glance like she owned it. But her smile slipped the second she noticed Mr. Hale wasn't alone. There was a notary, 2 witnesses, and a digital recorder on the table. She sat down across from me, crossed her legs, and whispered, "Try not to look so eager. This isn't a courtroom drama." I didn't respond, because it wasn't a drama. It was the verdict. Mr. Hale cleared his throat. "As per Mrs. Carter's final will and testament, this recording and reading are legally binding. Olivia and Sophia, you are both present. Shall we begin?" And with that, he pressed play. My mother's voice filled the room, cracked, slow, but firm. "If you are hearing this, I am gone. And I want the truth to stand, even if I no longer can. I've made my choices carefully, based not on appearance, but presence, not on performance, but love." Sophia's face froze. A muscle in her jaw twitched. "To my eldest, Olivia, you saw me. You didn't ask for recognition, but you gave me comfort. You gave me peace. You were my courage when I had none. I leave you the beach house, my savings, and access to the safety deposit boxes." My sister leaned forward, stunned. "What? That must be wrong." But Mom's voice kept playing. "To my youngest, Sophia, I leave my jewelry, the ones you wore even before I was gone." Silence. Pure, clean, cutting silence. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat there, frozen. Her fingers clenched around her designer bag like it was a lifeline. The room was so quiet we could hear the second hand ticking on the wall clock. Mr. Hale looked up. "The terms are final. All documentation was verified in advance. Any legal contest will be dismissed based on the trust structure and the medical directives signed by your mother." That was when Sophia finally found her voice. "This is insane. I was with her. I planned the funeral. I made the guest list." The notary looked unimpressed. So did Mr. Hale. I didn't say a word, because her mistake was thinking performance outweighed presence. She never understood that you can't fake love when someone's dying. You can't Photoshop empathy, and no amount of curated grief online could erase the fact that when Mom needed her daughters, only one of us stayed. She stood up, her face flushed with disbelief. "You knew about this. Is that why you've been so smug? This is about punishment, not inheritance." I finally met her eyes. "No, it's about truth. And Mom made sure it couldn't be buried with her." Sophia stormed out of the office, and in that moment, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. Because justice isn't loud. It doesn't always show up in courtrooms. Sometimes it arrives in a whisper, signed in ink and sealed with love. 2 days later, I stood alone at the bank vault. The manager slid open the heavy drawer, revealing 2 small boxes wrapped in velvet and tied with string. My hands trembled as I untied the first one. Inside, I found photographs, old, yellowed, but perfectly preserved, not of weddings or holidays. These were intimate, quiet moments. Me, holding Mom's hand at chemo, me, reading to her while she rested, me, brushing her hair when it started falling out. Each photo was labeled in her handwriting. She stayed. The second box contained a stack of legal documents, one for a scholarship fund in my name, already opened, another for the deed to the beach house, fully transferred, and at the bottom, a handwritten note. Use this place for peace, not revenge. You've already won by not becoming her. I sat down on the cold bank floor and wept, not for Mom, but for the years I thought I wasn't enough, for the birthdays she missed, the words I never heard, the times I felt erased. And now, here it was, not applause, not attention, but something deeper, recognition. The kind that doesn't fade with time, the kind that lives in proof, in action, in legacy. My phone buzzed, a text from Sophia. I hope you're happy. You made a fool of me. I didn't reply. I took a photo of the beach house key in my palm and posted it with 3 words, earned, not taken. 3 weeks later, I received an unexpected invitation from my aunt, Mom's sister. Family dinner, just the cousins and us. Come if you can. I hesitated. These were the same people who had praised Sophia's eulogy, who had glanced past me in the church lobby, who never once asked how I was. But something in me knew I had to go, not to prove anything, but to be seen without shrinking. The evening was filled with polite smiles and overcooked chicken. My cousins laughed, made small talk, avoided eye contact, and Sophia, she arrived late, sunglasses on, like a celebrity dodging scandal. She barely looked in my direction until dessert. That's when Aunt May, bless her blunt soul, said, "So, we heard about the will. Quite a surprise." All forks froze. Sophia stiffened. I sipped my water. "Not really," I said calmly. "Mom just left what reflected reality." The room fell into a hush. Sophia scoffed. "You mean she left you everything because you played nurse?" I locked eyes with her. "No, because I was there. And because she knew the difference between loyalty and image." The silence was louder than any scream. For the first time in my life, I didn't retreat, I didn't minimize, I didn't justify, I just stood in my truth and let them feel the discomfort of it. Not to shame anyone, but to reclaim the space I was always told I didn't deserve. That night, I left without hugging anyone. I didn't owe them comfort anymore. The weeks turned into months. I didn't chase attention. I didn't post monologues online. I just lived, quietly, authentically. I spent weekends restoring the beach house, repainting the porch, trimming the garden, sorting through Mom's journals and letters. Every page made me understand her more. And in understanding her, I started to understand myself. One afternoon, while scrubbing a cabinet, I found something hidden behind a drawer, a folded sheet with a single sentence in Mom's handwriting. "When the world fails to clap, let your own soul applaud." I smiled through tears. That's what she wanted for me. Not revenge, not public praise, just peace. Meanwhile, Sophia's life was unraveling. Her followers noticed the silence. Brand deals paused. Rumors started. A grieving daughter who'd lost her grip. She called me once, voice low, not angry anymore, just tired. I don't know who I am without the spotlight. I didn't gloat. I didn't comfort. I simply said, "Maybe now you get to find out." And I meant it, not cruelly, but honestly. I had learned that the loudest revenge isn't a speech or a slap. It's not a courtroom win. It's peace. It's healing. It's waking up without bitterness and letting go, not to forget what happened, but to release yourself from it. A year to the day after Mom's funeral, I returned to the church, not for a service, just to sit, to breathe, to remember. The lilies were gone, replaced by fresh white daisies. The pews were empty. the air still. I lit a candle, closed my eyes, and whispered, "Thank you for seeing me, for giving me what you couldn't say out loud." And for the first time in my life, I felt complete. I didn't need validation anymore, not from relatives, not from strangers, not even from Sophia. Because what I had gained wasn't just property or proof, it was clarity. My life wasn't meant to orbit someone else's spotlight. It was mine to build, quietly, fully, fearlessly. When I stepped outside, the breeze felt different, lighter, like something had been released, not just from me, but from generations of silence, favoritism, and invisibility. I took out my phone and posted one last message. Mom left me more than a house. She left me the strength to stand in rooms that once tried to erase me. The likes didn't matter. The comments didn't matter. What mattered was that I no longer had to fight for space. I was the space now. Thanks for watching until the end. If you've lived through something similar, share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our next silent revenge. Because sometimes, silence is the loudest scream.